I'm very happy to be here with you tonight, and in New York, and it's tomorrow with you in Asia Pacific. And I remember our journey through the position papers, and we took another detour after that. And then you took a detour on your own, for which I congratulate you in terms of exploring the whole issue of integral ecology and planet Earth and addressing that vulnerability. So what can I say? Congratulations to you. I'm very happy to be here tonight and to talk to you about CSW65, which is an experience beyond my wildest dreams. I just can't believe that it's happening for Good Shepherd around the world, that we are all together and engaging with the Commission on the Status of Women and having our own moments shared with each other through the virtual platform of NGO CSW. So I thought it might be helpful to actually um, just review what the commission is about, how it came about, and what are the opportunities for advocacy, because that's what our desire is, to change the situation for the women and girls in the world and the conditions that we know that they are living in. So I'm going to take you through that journey. The advocacy moments are limited because it's a virtual moment. But I think if you're aware of where you might engage and how you might look at what you yourself are presenting over and against the global picture, that this might help us in terms of moving forward and engaging with advocacy moments at our own national level. Because ultimately, the success of the Commission for the Status of Women is all about what happens in your country and among the people that you're living with and ministering to. So for me, of course, I prepare the PowerPoint to keep me on track and to have something that you can look at later on. So I will share screen. And just to say, next Monday, I've decided I'm doing a sharing on human trafficking with other people in the USA in terms of addressing that issue. And I've decided to do no PowerPoint, but to actually talk a text. So we'll see how that goes. A new moment for me. So here we are. Uh, oh. You're not seeing the right screen. Just a moment. Sorry. PowerPoint. Uh, I was too smart. Aha, here we are. Okay. So I will put it on this one. Okay. So we are all going to participate in the Commission for the Status of Women, for short CSW, and it's the 65th time in the history of the United Nations, and we've just celebrated 75 years of the United Nations. So it's the 65th time in 75 years that the Commission on the Status of Women is meeting. And the commission was established first in June 1946. Now, there were a few years in between when, for one reason or another, it couldn't take place. But for 65 years, the women of the world have been desiring, advocating, pushing for, hoping for, longing for a change in their status and their position in the world. And the CSW65 this year is focusing on women in public life. And for us, it might be difficult to find where our women that we minister with and accompany, where they are in this document, because the focus is on public life. And yet I am always, when I see that, I am drawn back to the documentary Mahila, and the woman in the indigenous community who, for the first time, was taking leadership in her local community and was engaging in a public moment, in a political moment. And that is participation in decision making in public life. So what can I say? You're doing it. But so often, well, for me, I think of the women who don't have those opportunities and therefore are not at this level. And you'll find much of the outcome document is written to women in public life. But also in there is ending violence.
Excuse me, Winifred.
Yes?
Is your slide supposed to be moving?
No, not yet.
Okay, all right, thanks.
I'm speaking to the graphic on the top in terms of the theme.
Thank you, Winifred.
The part of it is to achieve gender equality, to end violence. So this is part of the theme as well. And we all know about the violence against women and girls. So let's focus in there. Now I will move the slide ahead. And the CSW is a functional commission of the Economic and Social Council of the UN. And it's an intergovernmental meeting at the United Nations where NGOs with ECOSOC status or ECOSOC accreditation can attend. And that's why every year we try to attend. And isn't it interesting? Claire Nolan was at the United Nations in 1996. And we have been present at every commission since 1996. And my first commission was in 2008. And I have been at every one a faithful advocate in terms of the issues of women. And if you look at the right side of your screen, the history is from 1946 to Beijing, 1995. And we know that Beijing was a very central moment in the history of women and their freedom and liberation and the recognition of their rights. And then we went from 1995 to 2015 with the Sustainable Development Goals and the SDG 5, which focuses on gender equality. And then we come to last year, which was a celebration of Beijing plus 20. And here we are this year in 2021, another virtual CSW, which I believe will be much better organized because the UN now has, 1 year of experience of hosting virtual commissions. So this is something of the history. And of course, before 1995, in 1975-76 was CEDAW, which was the Bill of Rights for Women. So just to keep that in mind. So what is CSW and who attends? Well, first of all, it's representative of the member states, 193 of them. And then UN entities like UNDP, like UNICEF, like UN Women, like the Human Rights Group in Geneva, like the UN Office of Drugs and Crime in Vienna. All of these UN entities attend. And ECOSOC accredited non-governmental organizations, that is us, from all regions of the world, are invited to attend the session. So it's this mix of the intergovernmental process and the women of the world seeking the rights of women. And this year, as I say, it is a virtual experience as well. Now, of the 193 member states, 45 member states make up the commission. They're responsible for the organization and running of the commission and the outcome. And these member states are chosen according to regional representation. So you have 13 from Africa. So the most come from Africa. You have 11 from Asia Pacific. And that's the 11 I have outlined here. Sorry, I'm after jumping slides. Sorry now. The 11 outlined here. And of the 11, we are in 4 of the countries: Japan, Malaysia, the Philippines, and the Republic of Korea. So I highlight that because maybe there might be opportunities for you in your country, in Japan, in Malaysia, in the Philippines, in the Republic of Korea, to meet some of your government officials and tell them that you are attending CSW and that you're following the issues involved. Now, the figure after tells you they're usually on the commission for I think it's 3 years. They rotate on and off every 3 years. So if you see 2021, it means they're rotating off this year. If you see 2024, like Mongolia, well, they will be on until 2024. So you see the Philippines is a member of the commission until 2024. The Republic of Korea will be there until next year. Malaysia will continue until 2023 and Japan 2022. So just keep that in mind. 9 then are from Latin America and the Caribbean. 8 are from Western Europe and other states, and 4 from Eastern Europe. So for advocacy, it's important to know where your country is in the commission. So if you want to talk to your country or write them a letter, you might begin with saying, congratulations, because you're a member of the Commission of the Status of Women, CSW65. And immediately they know that you know. So that might be one tactic. Or you might see something that you say, gosh, I'd like to tell my country that was well done. Well done, CSW65. I noticed that Malaysia is a member of the Commission until 2023. We look forward to working with you in the coming years. Something like that. Advocacy is all about building relationships. And you build relationships by knowing what's happening and affirming what you see and then coming with your asks. So that's something of how the commission is made up. And then the commission from the 45, there are a group that of 5 that are known as the Bureau. And so the Bureau for this year is headed up by the ambassador from Armenia, and he was also the chair last year. So he's known as the chair, and he has 4 vice chairs. Now, for the previous 2 years before that, it was the ambassador from Ireland, Geraldine Nason Byrne, who was the chair of CSW. So you can imagine I have a certain affiliation and feel that I'm on the inside when it's the ambassador from Ireland. When it's the ambassador from Armenia, well, we don't know, etc., except that I have met him personally, and I have met him at meetings. He's a good man, but he might not be strong on policy. He's well-meaning and has good intentions towards the women of the world. So I have to say that for him. And then he's supported by the ambassador from Algeria, from the Republic of Korea, and from Australia. So you might want to keep that in mind. The person for Latin America has not been named yet, and that will only happen on the first day of the commission.
Winifred, you're muted. Please unmute yourself.
I thought I did that, yes. Thank you. So this is what the room looks like in New York in the General Assembly Hall on the opening day of CSW. Women everywhere, usually the member states sit in front. They try for the most part to have a woman as part of their delegation, but the men are there as well. And then usually up here in the balcony, you have the NGOs vying for a bit of space and a seat to sit down and hoping they won't be turned away. So that's what it's like when it's in person. And annually, UN Women write a letter to every member state encouraging them to include CSOs on their delegations. And if that happens, that's a marvelous moment of impacting the outcome document, because you're actually in the room when the document is being negotiated. The likes of me, even though I'm in New York, I would not be in the room because I'm not a member of any delegation. As I say, then one has this opportunity to influence. But I want to highlight what happens when we come to CSW. And I took this from the New York Times in 2013. I have it in some of my documents, summing up the political struggle. And you will know about this also. Delegates and activists are pointing fingers at the Vatican, Iran, and Russia. So the more progressive countries, Europe generally, Australia, Canada, the US, are pointing fingers at the Vatican, which is the Catholic Church who has observer status, Iran and Russia, for trying to eliminate language in a draft communique asserting that the familiar excuses, religion, custom, tradition, cannot be used by governments to duck their obligations to eliminate violence. So you have the Vatican, you have Iran, you have Russia, you have the Islamic groups saying, look, this is against our religion to talk about the human rights of women. This is against our customs. This is contrary to our traditions. And I think we heard some of that when we talked about the girl child and why the girl child is so disadvantaged in our societies, either because of religion, custom, or tradition. And of course, the big issue in there, not named, has to do with sexual and reproductive health of women and girls, their rights and their access to health care, where the patriarchal society says it's our right to control women's bodies. They don't have a right to say anything about their bodies. So this is the political struggle that goes on all of my 13 years at the United Nations. That's what I have heard every year. And I think this sums it up well. So I put it there for you. So a parallel process then is the virtual NGO CSW Forum 65. And this is where we are going to be engaged. We won't be in the UN space, And just this week, as Teresa knows and Kalai know, we applied for an oral statement, which would give us the opportunity to say something in the official meeting, and we were not accepted. So it might be because we are part of the Vatican delegation, if I can put that in broad terms, because they would know where I'm coming from. And there were 5 other Catholic sisters organizations part of this. So it may have been that. I can't make a judgment on it until I see who else is giving statements and what they're talking about. And for the virtual forum, already 10,000 people are registered. Imagine, already 10,000 people are registered on the site. But if 10,000 are registered, there's over 1,000 events, including the virtual exhibit booths. So I imagine it will make another 5,000 in terms of registration, if not more. And this evening before I came on the call, I went searching for Good Shepherd, and I counted 40 Good Shepherd people on this site. And I'm hoping that there will be more of us. Because really for people outside of ourselves to be able to see what's going on here, they need to register. So that is the situation with regard to the forum. So contrary to looking at ourselves on our computers and looking at others on our computer like we are this evening, this is what would normally happen if we were together at CSW in New York. We would be tramping from one building to another building to another building, on this street, that street, the other street, into the UN, out of the UN, and we'd be in groups like this trying to engage with the process. And this is a shot of a room outside of the United Nations filled with women, sharing, talking, presenting, planning, strategizing. I use all of those words because that's what goes on. And then this is something of just summing up 2 weeks, saying, look, the 2 weeks are a time of formal meetings, informal meetings, photo ops. You know, everybody is out to get their photograph taken in terms of having attended CSW. Fun times. I think that's always characteristic of the CSW time, fun times, waiting times. I show you both this photograph here where I am and this photograph here, sitting outside the formal negotiation room, waiting for news. Did they accept that violence against women is wrong? Did they accept that education, sexual education for girls should happen? You know, so we're sitting there, we're waiting. Member states walk in and out, in and out. Here's the door, in and out. They see us. And it's felt that we are a pressure on them to do something. So this also is part of what advocacy is about. And obviously there's a certain sense of we're in this together. And this bottom photograph I took at 11 p.m. at night. I don't stay the other nights, but I do stay the last night in terms of waiting for this outcome document. And this is 11 o'clock at night, and some of my friends have their thumbs up because now we have a document. So this is the kind of atmosphere that is around. You know, people are tired, they're bored, and yet there's a certain excitement. So this year, CSW is a virtual experience. The formal meetings inside the UN with the member states. 2 of those meetings, the opening and the closing, will be in person for ambassadors who are here in New York. And that has been happening a little bit. They are allowed to join in the UN, in the official gathering room with social distancing. So they're not allowed to bring their entourages with them or other advocates or just themselves. So then there's the organization of work, which includes interactive dialogues. Some civil society organizations would have applied to contribute to these dialogues. Who, I don't know. We will have to wait until it happens. There will be almost a week of member states making statements, because 193 almost attempt to make a statement saying their position on women, what they have done in the last year, how they are fulfilling the commitment to to SDG 5 and the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action. Then towards the end of the second last day, or maybe the third last day, there would be an opening for the civil society to make their oral statement. And this is where we were thinking that Kallai would be speaking on behalf of us all, alas. And then the last day is the adoption of the agreed conclusions. And just let me see if this works. Do you see? I think I have to stop and share screen again for you to see this. Okay, so you can go on the UN Women website and you can see the sessions that are on, the opening session, the roundtables, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then you get into the second week and you see this, okay, there's interactive dialogue there, but this general discussion is the member states all delivering their statements. And then that happens down towards the last day, and then there's talking about action on draft proposals. And that's when we hope that the draft agreed conclusions would be adopted. And then the 65th session ends, and immediately the 66th session opens. It's a kind of an amusing point for me that, like, as soon as one ends, the next one opens. And that's important so that the Bureau is elected, so that preparation can move ahead for March 2022. So all of these meetings will be on UN Web TV. So all you have to do is Google UN Web TV and at any particular time, and you can get the meetings that are going on. Okay, so we'll continue to move ahead. There's a list of official documents, and I just want to point out to you that this year 147 NGOs wrote statements. Now, I did not write any statement for Good Shepherd, but I joined with two groups. One is the Working Group on Girls, no surprise about that, and that's on Statement 91. And the other one then is two statements by ACT Alliance, 117 and 147. And ACT Alliance is a group of interfaith NGOs, and I myself, as the Congregation of Our Lady of Charity of the Good Shepherd, might be the only Catholic member in there. The Catholic Church is not a member of the World Council of Churches. We are noted by not being part of that group. But you can see, and I'm always very happy to be associated with the Islamic Relief, because that is the more moderate side of the whole Islam world. And they would be very much wanting to promote the rights of women and access to sexual and reproductive health, much like myself. So I just share that with you to say that's where I put my focus this year. And part of the reason for that was that in the Beijing plus 20 last year, I had collaborated with them in their statements as well, because there was a focus on faith in Beijing and what is the faith community doing. And I feel it's better for us Good Shepherds to be associated in this kind of group rather than lined up with the Vatican group. So that's just only some background for yourself in terms of understanding why I would go that way. And then there's Lutheran and United Religions Initiatives. You might be aware of that, where different religions come together, the Buddhists, the Muslims, the Hindus, in terms of coming together. And I think this is part of what we're about in our chapter preparation, moving towards like who is God in this universe and who is God for women. And so taking all the better expressions of who God is from the various churches. So that's where I have found myself aligned. The opportunities to engage in the formal work, to make the oral statement, I said that hasn't happened. There is this opportunity in terms of negotiating the draft agreed conclusions. Now, that is minimal this year because it's all virtual. And I haven't been involved with the group that actually made some suggestions. I was on the outskirts, but not on the inner group because it's a lot of work. And I decided to withdraw a bit from that kind of work. But again, I'm not going to click on it at this moment, but if you click on that link, you will find the agreed conclusions. And the other thing I want you to know is that the member states, while the NGOs have 700 parallel events, the member states have 105 side events happening in the United Nations, some among themselves and some with NGOs. So in the next slide, I actually picked out for you 10 of the events of the 105 have support from Australia. Australia has a number of them there, as you can see, the first one and the last four, because they are a vice chair. So the vice chairs sometimes try to have a public position and to be seen to do something. You can see Japan is in there. India has two, and it's on Thursday the 18th, and they're at the same time. So you're not able to go to both because they're at the same time. So you have to decide which one you're going to. And the Republic of Korea has one on Wednesday the 17th, and Thailand has one. And the times there are in terms of New York time, so Eastern Standard Time. So you need to convert that for yourself. But if you were interested to hear what your country is saying, it might be interesting to go on the website of UN Women, check it out, and you may need to register so as to be able to enter the Zoom link that they will have. And I would say if you're interested, do that sooner rather than later. Even if you don't get to attend, it's better to register your intention of being there. If you can't get there, don't worry about it. So I lined those up so that you could easily find them according to the dates. Because sometimes it's difficult going through 105 and, where am I, what am I seeing, what did I see? And even, I think this that I wrote down here, the two for India, I was surprised that they were at the same time, the same day and the same time, except that one ends 15 minutes earlier than the other. So I said, oh, I must be right, I must have seen it right. So that's the side events from member states, sometimes in collaboration with the NGOs and sometimes on their own. And then I'm coming to where we're engaging, And sometimes I say to myself, we're doing a bit of navel gazing, but I think we're also on a learning curve. Because the navel gazing is we're on this platform and we're parallel to the parallel, because all of this is parallel. The virtual NGO CSW Forum 65 is parallel to the United Nations. And when you go in these virtual booths, that's parallel to all of this. So just to be aware of that, but I am so hugely excited about Good Shepherd around the world, not just Asia Pacific, even Africa has picked up on it and they're going to engage. Latin America is in there and they're away with it and they'll be doing it in their Spanish. And Africa will have Portuguese and French and English. So, I mean, that's the difficulties that they deal with when they have a meeting. I'm hugely excited, and I think it's a great tribute to the congregation that we have been able to pull this together and to move forward. And thank you to all of you for all the work that you have done. It's really exciting. I sent to Teresa, and maybe she sent it out to you, the NGO CSW sent out a newsletter, and they actually were summing up everything that was going on currently. If you click on this link, you can get it if you haven't already got it. And in the newsletter, you will find the input that the civil society put into the draft document. Now, I was asked by the Ecumenical Women and the Anglican Council to be on their presentation as they prepared their women to come to CSW, and they asked me to look at the draft document and to engage them with that. And my summing up to them was that it's pathetic because it's focusing at a level that the Anglican Women's Council and the Methodist women and the Lutheran women, they're all like ourselves, engaged with the grassroots, with women who are excluded. So for us to find our space in that document is difficult. The link in is the ending of violence. And even for that, then they're going for harassment in the workplace. There's not a word in there about girls, which disappoints me hugely around the document, about FGM, early marriage, all of these things that we are fighting for, there's not a word there. It's about women in political life, women, corporate women, women in the boardroom, and a call out that, and I mean, no woman should suffer sexual violence either in the workplace or any other place, but neither should she be subject to it in her home. And we know what happens there. And not a word about human trafficking, not a word about what migrant women experience, etc. So I'm saying that, I said to them, it's pathetic. They would be a bit more politically aware and conscious than we are as a group, and they would be really following up with their governments and approaching the women's ministries and asking, what are you doing? What are you going to bring to CSW, etc., etc. But I engage with that group in terms of inputting to them as well. So just so that you're aware of that. And as I say, you can click on this link when you get the PowerPoint, and you can see what I'm talking about. So the virtual trade show, this is what it's called. It's an agenda session that indicates when your exhibit booth is open for walk-in visits from forum attendees. So potentially, any one of the 10,000 women that are now already registered could come to see us. I think most booths, from what I've seen, will be just a matter of 2 or 3 people maybe there and answering questions for people who come in. But in actual fact, we're providing a program for people who come in. We're saying, look, we do this, we do that, we do the other, we're here, we're there, we're excellent in this, we're learning in that. This is our program with the girl children. We have our girl space. You know, so this, I think we're probably unique. And I'm very happy about that. It's a bit of navel gazing, but I will forgive us all for that. I think it's a moment, a historic moment for us Good Shepherds around the world to be at this stage. And during the virtual trade show, attendees will be able to visit your representatives and learn more about your organization and how to get involved. Well, certainly everybody who comes to visit us will learn more about us, and they will see how vibrant and active and how engaged we are with women who are disadvantaged, with girls who don't have the opportunities to enter the political arena, to have a voice. And on the other hand, we're actually showing girls with voices speaking and saying what they want. You know, I think it's, I'm excited. That's all I can say. I'm excited. And for us, the booth looks something like this at the moment. We have the Congregation of Our Lady of Charity of the Good Shepherd. Those of you who will be on the inside, like Teresa Simmons and Willa and Jamie, and I think I saw Tarsila there, and others, click here to enter behind the scenes. And everybody else coming to enter our booth, enter the virtual trade booth. So they just click here and bingo, they're in. It's only those of us that have been named can bring people in here to manage. So don't worry about that. This is where we will enter. And we, with the GSIF, I think, decided on the banner in terms of the position papers, which probably means a lot to us. It's quite distinctive. And we put Meet Good Shepherd, empowering girls and women around the world. And I've already had some people asking me, and what do you do for the men and boys? You know, so even like men who look at this say, you should be saying that you're working with men and boys. And I wrote to Jamie this evening and I said, look, you know, it's great to have allies because we do need men and boys as allies. And then we have the program up, and we have all these of our managers all looking great. I see Sashi there as well. And here then people enter the virtual trade show. But anybody who wants to can just click on, sorry now, I'm gone too far. Sorry, I will go back to that. It's not live. Oh, it's not live because it's cut and paste. It's a photograph, so it's not live. I can go back to that. So we have the program here, and I will open it for you at the end so that you see the variety of program. The Congregation of Our Lady of Charity of the Good Shepherd and Renate. Renate is a religious in Europe networking against trafficking and exploitation. And Marie-Elaine Halligan was one of the founders of this and has worked all the years. And when I sent out the invitation, she asked if Renate could come on board. So they have come on board because many of our sisters in Europe are linked in here. And so it was a way for me to bring Europe into the scene because Latin America and Asia Pacific and Africa are represented, but Europe is a little bit out of the way. So they have come in, and then, we have, sorry, I keep touching. We tried then to describe who Good Shepherd sisters are, And my desire and my hope is that Edith, the contemplative here in New York, will head up something of a prayer space or sacred space on the Monday in terms of the prayer for the women of the world. And so I'm hoping that will come to fruition. Teresa Simmons had something about that we would have a candle and that it would go from time zone to time zone and country to country. I'm sorry I didn't follow it and I didn't get any follow-up. So I thought, okay, Edith and the prayer for the women of the world engages the contemplatives. And I think she was going to reach out to the contemplatives around the world to see how they would fare that up. And then we have in there the Good Shepherd International Foundation and ourselves. And I tried to pull together something from the ICA experience of who we are. Mindful of the sacred consciousness, we strive to live from a graced place of authenticity and wholeness. I was taking some of these words from the chapter facilitators. And I love the end. We are many, we are different, but we are one in God's great heart. And of course, the great heart is coming from the language of St. John Eudes, energizing us to respond to the cry of humanity and the cry of the earth. So I tried to situate us in this kind of context. And then we went on to look at the Good Shepherd and spell that out. This here is the management team. I just, as I say, cut and pasted and put it in there so that you could get a sense of who we are. Since I did this, Jamie is in there as well. So I'm very happy about that. And in the very beginning, we have the Team Up calendar. And I can open that from here, but I will have to stop and then open the new link. But before I do that, it's divided according to themes and regions. And we have our partner. And I am facilitating a Let's Talk series, which kind of is less structured and more interactive and chatty, I hope. It might be just with myself, but who knows, or whoever comes. And Noreen O'Shea and another group in Ireland, ACT, which is Act to Prevent Trafficking, are also taking 2 slots in this. So Renate have taken 2 hours over the 10 days. So they're doing a huge program. But you in the regions of Asia Pacific, Latin America, Africa, and the Middle East are all slotted up. And I will show you now what that looks like. So it's always good to go to the 15th. And here is what it looks like in terms of the first week. As I've said to you, the 15th, we're keeping it free at the moment, and we will see how the sacred space shapes up. And then you have Asia Pacific is in this orange color. So here you are all at an unearthly hour of the morning for us in New York. But I hope to drop in at some stage to see what's going on. I can't guarantee to be there all of the time. And then you have, here is, for example, when you click on it, Angola. So isn't it marvelous? Like Rita is going to be heading up here with Andrea and presenting in Portuguese, or maybe it's English, I'm not sure. People are responsible for what's on this card themselves and to head it up. So the Africa is in red, Remoa. Renate is in this, what I call it, purple color. Here you have again from Africa, social business in agriculture for sustainable development and food security through women's empowerment in Ramoa region. And again, Risha is leading this up. So I am hugely excited about this. There's a sense in which Asia Pacific, I know you can do it and you've done it, but when I see a new group coming on, I am just hugely excited. Miriam is taking up this issue from Geneva in terms of fistula, which is a particular problem in Africa. And I did raise it when we were doing the girl child in terms of Southeast Asia. And then you have the blue is Latin America. So you have here Colombia coming in with ending violence against women, economic justice in Latin America. This is an app, the program I was telling you with Noreen O'Shea. It's in here, and this is me. Let's talk. So I was looking for extraordinary outside the boundaries of Good Shepherd women to come and talk. At the moment, I'm having some difficulty actually enticing people on. And my first day will be social protection. Well, I can do that with my eyes closed. So no problem with that. I'm having a St. Patrick's Day celebration, so I would hope to see somebody from Asia Pacific. It's 1 p.m. in New York, so I don't know what, I suppose that's 1 p.m. or maybe 12 p.m. in Asia Pacific the next day. So it would be the 18th for you. Who knows, if you feel that you're Irish, come and wear green. So this is the kind of, I'm putting these kinds of moments in. But here we have the girl child panel coming from Malaysia. And we have here human trafficking panel. And here we have another human trafficking panel, Asia Pacific. And here addressing the whole issue of forced marriage. So it's a very full, it's very attractive, like anybody can see our calendar and can say, oh, I must see what this is about or what that's about. So like we're open to the 10,000 people that are registered. How many will come? We don't know. And then to the second week, it's the same format, the migration. And I am very happy that I have an Argentinian woman, Ivana, who is living in Ireland, who is heading up the European project or projects. And she's going to talk with me and bring some people from who are doing migration in Ireland, not in Ireland, in Italy and Spain. So I'm very happy about that one. Let's talk the SDGs. You know, women that are on the site might be interested in social protection, the care economy, the SDGs. So I'm trying to have a wider audience in terms of being available to other people. Degree conclusions. I always get good, what I say, audience for that anytime that I would do it. So I'm putting it up there. I'm probably going to try something around our stance on prostitution here. I'm not going to finalize it just at the moment. And then talking about generation equality here, again, just to show that Good Shepherd is also engaged in the global arena, while we do all of this tremendous work, which you are showcasing at the regional and national level. Here's Peru coming up with human trafficking. Here again, Latin America with economic justice. And here's Chile and Ecuador, Bolivia on the migration. So we have migration, economic justice, ending violence, human trafficking, and then the closing day. Okay, we're a kind of finishing off anything that we haven't finished off. So it's still a work in progress. So I hope that you will visit and check out what's changing, etc., as the days go on. And just let me, I'm almost finished, I think, at this stage. Oh, no, that's not the right one. Team up calendar, here we are. So then the agreed conclusions, just to highlight for you, sorry, I'm gone too fast, to highlight for you something here in terms of the agreed conclusions. Ideally, they influence policy at national level. And the hope is that the women who attend CSW every year would go home and say, this is what we need to do in our country, and say that to their government. Some places it happens, some places it doesn't. For example, when the women from the UK come to New York, I'm always pals with them because they have a direct link to their representatives from the UK, who always tell them what's going on, what's in the document, what's being threatened, what's accepted. So we wait for them to get the information. Sometimes it comes on the text message, sometimes it's a WhatsApp, and we're there to hear what's happening. Now, when Ireland was in the chair, she didn't leak anything. So, you know, some countries leak it and some countries don't. It's all a matter of who you are, where you are. But if you were on their delegation, you would be in the room with them and you would hear it all firsthand. Me, never in the room. I was even put out once by UN women. I sneaked in kind of, well, I thought it was my right to go in at the time. Oh, Christina was down to me, you know, out you go. So anyway, you just get up and say, sorry, and you know, you go out. The first 15 paragraphs, they call them preambular. And they're setting the scene. You know, they go back to all the documents, CEDAW and Beijing and SDGs and this and that and the other, and they take regional documents, etc. The more interesting part is to look at what they call the operative paragraphs, which are always lettered. So A to H this year, starting in paragraph 16, strengthen normative, legal, and regulatory frameworks. Okay, so maybe there's a way in here in terms of legal. What's not already ratified in our countries that we need to call attention to? Are we reporting to CEDAW? Are we making the proper reports in terms of the trafficking, etc.? The second big heading goes from I to Q, prevent and eliminate violence against women in public life. But what about the violence against the girls in our programs? And what about the migrant women and girls? You know, so that's where I'm a bit critical. Strengthen gender responsive institutional reforms. Okay, strengthen the institution, but to do that oftentimes the funding, and there's not much talk about the funding that's necessary to do this. Increase the availability of high quality financing. Well, here it is, increase the availability. But how do you do that? They're not saying how it's done in support of women's participation in public life. Again, public life. Z to EE, and when the alphabet ends, they go to AA, BB, CC, and I have seen them go to AAA, BBB, CCC in my lifetime here. Strengthen women's voice and leave no one behind in public life. Well, okay. And then there's concluding paragraphs 18 to 20. So I just give you that as a way of just breaking down what's in the document because it's UNese, as we call it, it's UN language. So what does it mean when it goes to Malaysia or to Japan or to Korea? What does it mean to anybody who reads it there? And then I just want to finish by highlighting that if you see any events that are associated with the Generation Equality Forum. And I think I would have mentioned this to you in some of the webinars. Please have a look and see what you might learn, because this is going to be the group or the focus that's going to take up 6 specific actions: gender-based violence, economic justice and rights, bodily autonomy and sexual and reproductive health and rights, 4, feminist action for climate justice, 5, technology and innovation for gender equality, and 6, feminist movements and leadership. And there is a little woman from the Philippines, God bless her. She kept at it and at it and at it because she works very much in women, peace and security, to say that this is a very important aspect of women's lives, particularly where they live in conflict situations. So there is, in addition, a compact on women, peace and security and humanitarian action. So just to be aware of the names of these action coalitions, +1, that's what I'm calling it, and this Generation Equality Forum, which is made up of Mexico governments, but Mexico and France, together with UN Women, together with the corporate sector, together with the CSOs. So it's supposed to be a partnership. Now, there was a lot of difficulty in getting agreement with regard to the transparency of the corporate sector and their policies around gender equality and zero violence in the workplace. So that was a particular issue, but I think they're moving ahead on it. And the first part of Generation Equality, I only saw this evening, is taking place immediately after CSW from the 29th to the 31st of March in Mexico. It does invite people to register. I registered this evening. There's no guarantee, no more than with the oral intervention, that I will actually be accepted. I'm hoping that Erica in Latin America will register, and let's see, will she get accepted. And as you can see there, it's UN Women, Mexico, France, and in partnership with civil society and youth. And there's a big emphasis in this Generation Equality Forum of bringing youth on board and young professional women. There's a whole outreach there, which many things that I have applied to attend, I have been scored off because of my age. You know, they didn't recognize my wisdom. So anyway, you know, I can be cynical about some of these things as well, but it's important for us to know what's happening in the global arena. And then this will be followed up. The dates are not set yet, when France will host the final document with regard to implementing what I showed you previously in terms of these particular action coalitions. And many of the bigger NGOs are heading up here. So like when I get a list, I will send it to you so that you can see who's in Asia and who you might want to link with or not link with. And of course, one of my big criticisms here is that the sex workers unions have a big voice here. So it's a big concern to me, but you know, I keep knocking away and, you know, trying to make inroads where I can, and that's all part of what the advocacy is about. So with that, I thank you very much for listening. This is the wall of the UN. Anyone that has been to New York will know what the UN looks like, and it has been decorated with these posters. We want a stop to violence. We want economies that work for women. We want a stable planet. We want equal leadership. We want a place of peace. And all of that in the context of the CSW. And I thought just to show the times that we're living in, we walk around in New York with our faces fully clothed and our eyes covered. So I put myself in there in the background with the banners in the background, and you can see some of the flags, particularly on the bottom right-hand corner, the flags of the United Nations flying. So what can I say? Thank you very much to everybody for attending. Any questions you have, of course, I'd be more than happy to answer. And thank you again. And a big, big thank you for participating in the forum. And to your fearless leader, Teresa Simmons, who seems to make all things possible. What can I say? You know, namaste, Guramahagot, thank you. I will be behind you all as you present on the in the forum, and I would hope to visit as much as I can. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Winifred, for this very insightful session on CSW65. You know, as you were sharing, I counted the number of times you said you were happy and you're excited that Good Shepherd is part of this event. And it's so many times, Winifred, it's so good to see you express that your happiness and your, you know, where you are about this. And it's a reflection of how the entire congregation has actually come together on justice and peace, you know, and how we have all gathered, and we will be gathered together from the 15th of March right up to the 25th of March as Good Shepherd. And I just want to congratulate you and all at GSIJPO, including Claire Nolan, who started all this off in 1996, the culmination of your work.
And Barbara Davis from your own region.
And Barbara Davis, yes, who got the ECOSOC status, and everyone else who's been part and parcel of this initiative. It's really a culmination of all the work that's been done since then, you know, to have Good Shepherd in all shapes and sizes, big events, small events, all coming together for this. I just like to share with everyone here the events where Good Shepherd Asia Pacific will be present. I want to share screen with you so that you can see what we are doing. And we will be sending out, we've already sent out one round, these events where we are. And if you see, for Asia Pacific, we are presenting as, for some, we are presenting as a group of countries, like in the Girl Child. So on the 16th of March, we have Australia, New Zealand presenting the research that they've done on understanding the impact of COVID on vulnerable Australians. 17th of March, we have Australia, New Zealand presenting their paper on forced marriage. 18th of March, we have the human trafficking panel, wherein Malaysia and Nepal will come together, and on the 19th of March as well. And on the 20th of March, we have the Girl Child panel. This is a Saturday, and we have all these countries presenting: Central East India, Philippines, Southwest India, Myanmar, Indonesia, Sri Lanka. So when we look at this and you look at how we are coming together to do the events, it's very obvious that as Asia Pacific, we are thinking as one, and we are able to come together for different events. And here we have another one on the 25th of March, economic justice. They're coming together as Southwest India, Sri Lanka, Australia, New Zealand, Central East India, GSIF, and Malaysia. And so this is a very interesting event that we're having. We will circulate this list to everyone, and you will see here the time of the session. These are Malaysian times, so you'll need to convert to your own time zone. And the booths will be available either 15 minutes before or half an hour before, and end 15 minutes later or half an hour later, depending on the size of the panel that's involved, because people will need to come in and to go out. So we will circulate this, and we will encourage as many people from Asia Pacific as possible to drop in at the booths to support the people who are presenting, and also, you know, to be part of this global event. Okay, here we are, all your responses. What new insights did you gain from this session? So we have here understanding sorry. Advocacy is binding to one another. I came to know what is the history of CSW. Advocacy is to build relationship and to help others. Learning with the grassroots advocacy to come together for helping the most needy, larger network with the world. Over to you, Sashi.
Respond to the cry of humanity and respond to the cry of the earth. Very impressive long history of GSIJP involvement in the issues of human rights, and to know that there is our country involved in that platform. Definitely a first good step for the Good Shepherd Collective involvement and movement, but unclear where this is to lead us eventually. That is post the CSW65 session, other than raising our awareness. Aspiring for having gender equality and justice for women, CSW better understanding, we are united together, empowered, and in turn empowering girls and women. Yes, Teresa.
Yes, lots of work towards advocacy for women, but not much about human trafficking and girl child. There is much happening on virtual platform. It's exciting. I wonder how much I'll be able to be part of it all, time difference taken into account. Yes, but there are a lot of events happening with Asia Pacific, so you can be part of this. So happy that Good Shepherd at Asia Pacific level is involved. There is excitement in the air. There is a great opportunity for girls to voice out that there is a need to be heard, touched by enthusiasm and zeal of Winifred. Yay, Winifred. Waiting to visit all the booths and know more. There is a great beginning as we march together towards generational equality. So glad that Good Shepherd is taking a lead to shift the way of thinking and advocacy in the sisters, partners in mission, as well as program participants. Sashi?
About CSW, its goal and the actions in it. Advocacy as Good Shepherd Sisters in a global level is important in pushing for the agenda of women and girls. But we can contribute to the cause locally through our development work. This will create ripples of impact no matter how small the action is. We must also support and remind our government leaders of their duty to the citizens. Strengthen women's voice, leave no one behind. And Good Shepherd Sisters are coming strongly in the CSW65 to fight for their rights. So true. CSW65 is the great platform where people from the grassroots level can attend. Wider opportunity to participate and present. Good platform for everyone. Better guidance on the use of platform to learn and contribute. Increased eagerness. Opportunities to represent. I can hear that we are getting a lot of opportunities coming.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yes, that's true. You can see from the responses, the excitement of everybody, you know, all about CSW65 for the first time and how big it is. The issues to be presented and discussed, issues relating to poor women who are underrepresented, seeing the unity across Asia Pacific and also across the other regions in Good Shepherd. Yeah, Good Shepherd Asia Pacific working with a human rights approach to advocacy. It's very much informative, positive movement. It's an eye-opener, new insights, looking at different aspects of how women participate in advocacy, opportunities at what's happening at UN, sharing their own expertise, linking women to different NGOs so that women's voice can be heard, to be in touch with what's happening. Happy to hear different country, what we are doing for women's rights, sharing expertise with one another. How can we bring the voice of the women and girls? Come, Sashi, let's finish it off. Over to you.
Happy to be part of CSW65. Received good understanding on CSW. Have chance to advocacy. Proud to be a Good Shepherd sister. Yay! Strengthen to empower girls and women. Where we stand on a global level, how organized this event is going to be and who are all going to participate. A lot of preparation is already done. We just need to be there and show up. It's a huge event with many things happening. We are lucky to be able to join virtually. a great opportunity for us, and we need to be well prepared for our forums and booths. It has opened our eyes with vast knowledge of information, very proud feeling, recognition at international level, commission in global level, and highlighting the social evils to work towards the eradication of these.
CSW is very new.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Yes, but with COVID-19 has created an opportunity to be closer, to be part of it, and not just to view it from a distance. Proud of our congregation moving in this direction, and kudos to Winifred, Claire, and the women who work towards making us, giving us a voice and force to make even the slightest change for good in our world. New awareness of how much work is needed, and how much GSIJP has been knocking on the doors to advocate for the girl child. So glad that a wider and bigger space created for advocacy work, and how CSW is new information, but it is great. Especially we can be a member and have a voice. A lot of work carried out by UN, NGOs, Good Shepherd contact person, inspiring, challenging me to do something and do a little more for the area of advocacy. Education about the need to speak for the girl. This is a great platform for greater awareness, pushing us to move into the arena of advocacy. Good to see our Good Shepherd family reaching out to new horizons, gain vast knowledge. You know, really, Winifred, thank you so much for doing this session. You can see from the responses here that we have all really moved from when we first started listening to you towards to the end of the session. So thank you so much. And here we have, how has this session enhanced your understanding of advocacy at the UN level? We have here 85% saying 4 and above, and that is really, really good, really, really good. So we will share these results with everyone. It will be circulated to all. And we just want to thank Winifred again for being with us at this time. Winifred, would you like to end with some words?
Well, I think I've spent all my words for tonight. I am grateful that you would come in such numbers to understand more of the process. And I am, again, just in admiration of the fact that you are engaging so positively in the platforms and around the various issues. And of course, I love the day that Saturday is given over to the girls themselves doing their thing. And it's more and more of that we need. And maybe UN Women are right. It's the girls and the young women that should be leading the way in terms of a new moment for women and girls' rights throughout the world. And COVID has impacted us all, and it's being said that like poverty and trafficking and the exclusion of so many is in itself a virus. So it's not just the COVID-19 virus, but all the other viruses are being shown up. And I sense, I was at a few meetings, I tend to engage more at finance now than some of these kinds of meetings. And there is an attempt to call out member states around such things as illicit financial flows, the whole system of taxing, to call the governments to be responsible for public goods, health, education, human rights, and to put the funding there. And so it's a moment that can go anyway, but I am hugely optimistic that we're on the right track, and that maybe governments, it is the moment of conversion, a moment of a new beginning for all of us. But irrespective of where they are, I know that you will continue doing the great work that you do. And there was one point there, like, you know, what's the advocacy about? You have to engage more and more at the local level with other NGOs and with your government around policy issues. That's where advocacy has bite. It doesn't happen by just sitting on the sidelines. And that means you have to read and study and get a position and go after it until you get it. I heard somebody saying, oh, you know, we're getting ready for the UPR, the Universal Periodic Review. This is it. That's at the UN. But to the extent that we can do the same thing with our ministries that are responsible for children, for women and girls, for human rights, that is what advocacy is about, always knocking on the door. So thank you very much. And it's always a joy to be with you. And you give me great energy. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Winifred.
Yes.
Thank you. Can we all give a reaction to Winifred? A heart or a thumbs up or whatever. And let's all unmute our mics and just give Winifred a big round of applause. Thank you so much, Winifred.